All right, I'm going to talk about vacuum chucks. And you guys know me, Steve Kellner. I've been turning for only for about 10 years. But I'm a tool guy and I'm a toy guy. So if you got another gadget to buy, I probably bought it, except unless it's for carving. I'm not. Haven't quite got there yet. Dave's the gadget guy when it comes to carving. But if you're going to do vacuum chucking, the key beginning is to have a good vacuum source. So I have a small vacuum pump. It's quiet. I think it's about 5 cubic foot or something. It's an oilless pump. It works pretty good. You can get other kinds. You can get the Venturi type. If you got a big compressor, you can get that type. Yeah, okay. I had it up before, but it'll vibrate off. Just so it's got a filter. You always want to filter the air coming in because you're sanding and stuff, and you could ruin your vacuum pump very quickly if you don't do that. So this was a nice little setup, and it's small, quiet, and basically does the job. It's not working quite as well here as it normally does. I think there's more voltage drop through the extension cords than I have when I have it just plugged in at home. The investment for that pump, I don't remember exactly, but I think it was around $500. So you go to Harbor Freight and get a one of the vacuum pumps they have for pumping out your air conditioning system. They used to be able to get them for about 150. Now with Trump's tariffs, who knows where they're going to go. But so I'm going to show the different ways of hooking up in reverse of the first one because I've already got my stuff set up on here.
One observation, Steve. I'm sorry, over here. I had a thought. So one of the things you're paying for with that is it's quiet. I have one that is not as quiet, okay. And as long as you run these, like while you're using it, you got to leave it running for a while. That noise it's sometimes worth paying that difference. Just as a thought.
And I got this from Joe at Veneer Supply, and he has designs for all kinds of systems that have vacuum canisters and other things, and you can put a shutoff valve. So you can have, like, if you have a big vacuum canister, you can just pull your vacuum on that and then have a pressure gauge on it so it'll just kick the pump on and off when you need. But for what we're doing, that's more when you're veneering something and you're going to have it in a veneer bag for 8 hours or something. You don't want to run your vacuum pump constantly. For us, unless you're really slow, it's not critical to just leave the pump running. At least that's what I've found. So, as John talked about with your 4-jaw chucks, you want to have the size of the chuck proportionate to the size of the piece that you're trying to turn. That's exactly the same when it comes to a vacuum chuck. So I like to make my own, so I just take typically pieces of maple, and I have my Beal threading tool, and you drill for 1 1/8 one, you drill a 1-inch hole, and then you put this in and use the tailstock to push it up, and you just thread it. It really works out real nice. So I can make them whatever size that I want. So if I'm doing something relatively small, it might be only 2.5 or 3 inches in diameter, whatever this one is, and that's the problem. Come on. There it goes. And again, it's the voltage here. So this is sealing something on. Well, it's probably using this larger O-ring. I've got a smaller O-ring in there for something smaller, but I can take it off reasonably with my hand, and all these, all you guys here can very easily tell me exactly how much force is holding that on, right? Not the diameter, the area. So I mean, basically, yeah. Okay, if I want to, I should have said that. If the best, you got a couple ways to center it. One, you can just put it on and bring a center up. But the best way is if it's a bowl you're trying to fix the bottom of, leave it in the chuck, bring the chuck and screw it into your live center on your tailstock, and bring it up. If you've got one of those adapters, you have to have one of those adapters to do that, and bring it up, and then you can get it perfectly centered. Otherwise, it's trial and error.
The way I do it is I let a little pressure off so it's not sucking so hard, and then
Yeah.
I can adjust it and then
Yeah, yeah, and that's the way I have this thing set up. I can adjust my pressure right here. That works out real nice. But yeah, but I don't normally. But in terms of how hard it holds on, small. But once I get up to something this size, and somebody made a comment, if you wanted to, Ron made a question, let's say you're doing a platter and you want to do some off-center part or something, if you have something, I'll center it about as well as I can. If you had a platter and you had it on with an O-ring that big, you could turn as much as you wanted, and you'd have to have one hell of a catch to pull it off. So, I mean, if you just adjust the size of your chuck, just like what John was talking about, adjust the size of your chuck for what you're making. Be a little careful. If the base of this was thin, I would have it. It would be changing its own shape. But I mean, if you wanted to make a platter, you could very easily just put it on this way, and you could do off-center stuff just as well. If it's thick enough to hold for whatever size chuck you're using. So this one I have to let the. See, I'm not even sure. Yeah, I got it. Oops. What's that?
What is that? Just an O-ring?
This is a silicone O-ring, and you can get these things pretty cheap. You just got to look around. Most of them are Buna that I got because I couldn't find them in silicone. But this, if you can get a silicone one, it's nicer because it won't mar the wood as much. When I did have issues marring the wood, leaving a circle, I took the Buna one and wrapped it with Teflon tape, and then it doesn't mar anything anymore. So that's another way to do it. The other way is if you're making a chuck yourself, you can do the threading that I did, or you can buy one of these. I think it's Dan said an 8 series nut. So you can get the nuts that'll thread on. And I mean, I have a couple of these. I'm never going to use them. So if somebody, nobody said they want it yet, but if someone wants this, they're welcome to take it. If you want to make a chuck, you're also welcome. At some point, you could borrow my jig, my tap.
If you have one of those threading dies, you can also make your own nuts. I've made a couple out of maple.
Ah, okay.
2 pieces of maple cross grain, and then drill and thread it, and then you can make your own faceplates.
All right. So if you so what I started on the last one is different lathes have different ways of attaching here. On my Laguna lathe, this headstock is threaded. So I have this piece right here. So this threads directly into the thumb wheel, the hand wheel on my lathe. On these lathes and on many of the others, it's just a straight hole. So I made this with an O-ring, and you can buy things like this too, but I made it because you need the rotating flange type thing, unless you want to come up with some other way of doing it. But the other option is something that works a little different, and you feed this through. I have to take this off. You can feed this through. Second time I dropped that thing. Yeah. So now you just have to have a chuck, make something up. This has a sealing surface on the inside. So this is something that Dan made, but you buy this setup and you thread it on, and it works just as well. Yeah, that's where it's. Come on. It works better that way. So this is another option of something you could make yourself. And again, it's large diameter, so you aren't going to get that off. So again, there are different options on how you make them and how you do it. Now, the other thing I didn't demonstrate, which I should have while I had my setup on there, is I do vacuum assisted jam chucks. So you can make yourself a jam chuck, and then, but on a threaded piece, and then when you, if you machine it right, like this one was made for a bowl, a vase I made, and it would fit in there pretty tight. But then the vacuum helps a lot. So it even though you don't have an O-ring in there, it's still sealed and gives you a much better option. So when you're making them yourself, you can be creative. Make them in any shape, form, or whatever that you want. And you can, it's very flexible. That's why I like turning them myself out of a piece of maple. And I had to put a hole in this one because I put oil in here, and then I threaded it on the chuck. I couldn't get it off by just grabbing it and trying to unscrew it. So I had to give myself an assist with a rod. But I'm old, so I'm not as strong as young guys here. but I mean, it's you got a lot of different options with them, and as far as your mind wants to wander and what you can do, you can probably do them.
Steve, how do you center, say you're going to put a bowl on there to take the tenon off,
Yep.
which would be a great tool to do that with. How do you manage centering the bowl?
The best way to do it is I think I mentioned before, you've got it on the chuck, and unscrew the chuck while it's still on, put it on your tailstock. But that's the best. But if you don't have that, I mean, you probably still have a little point. So as long as you got a little center point, then you just bring your live center up and wiggle it around till you get it right, and then turn the lathe on and see or spin it by hand and see. A lot of times it's just trial and error, and it's not quite as good as like the Longworth chuck that always brings it in the right dimension. But if you really care, the nice way to do it is to bring it up while you still got it on the chuck. That's the ideal way. Does somebody have a question over there? No? Oh, okay. I thought I saw someone's hand go. I gotcha. Okay. Any other questions about? I mean, you guys use vacuum chucks? No?
I thought about it a long time and then decided I didn't have room.
I mean, I didn't even think about this until Dan mentioned, but you could easily do off-center, or Ron mentioned, you could very easily do off-center turning that way by just, you got a flat surface and you just move it around in different places and do your turnings. It's real easy to reset that way as long as you've got something massive enough that you're not going to destroy it. Yep.
I'm going to assume that you didn't start out using vacuum chuck when you first started working with the lathe. Is that true?
That's true.
What made you change?
I'm a tool guy, so I mean. But yeah, I mean it's you get frustrated sometimes when you're cleaning up the back and you don't have a good way to hold it, and then you see what other people are doing, and as long as you can afford it, you buy another toy. No really good reason. It's just
You can hold almost anything without a vacuum chuck.
right.
If you don't have one, you got to try it.
Well, just like you can hold anything without a chuck at all, if you really want to, you can you can put faceplates on, and I'm not a big faceplate person, but you could very easily glue on a block on the bottom of your thing, put it with a faceplate in it, and when you're done with it, you just part it off, and then you could glue it on the next one. So there's all kinds of ways, but these. Yep. Ah, okay. Yep.
A good thing for that is if, instead of making a mortise or a tenon, you don't lose the wood here. So,
Right.
and then, like you said, you just take it off,
Yeah.
turn it around, you can finish your bottom mill.
Yeah. I'm going to try turning something where I don't use a chuck. I just use a vacuum chuck completely, and just I'm going to try it. We'll see how it goes. I have something in mind. It's going to be relatively large, and it just means my vacuum pump has to run a lot. So and you got to get a good flat surface to start with. But it may be for my challenge item. We'll see. If I destroy too many pieces that way, then I'll go back to the old way.
I don't know how wise it'd be, but I've heard people say that you use a vacuum cleaner as a source of vacuum.
Really?
I've heard it.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, that's the vacuum that's going to. Yeah, you better have a big diameter vacuum chuck if you're going to do that. A lot of area.
That might work for the bigger chucks.
Any other questions or comments? Yep.
How did you determine the amount of vacuum to pull on your piece? Repeat the question.
How do you determine the amount of vacuum you need? I don't usually. I just take what I get. If I haven't tried to pull a real vacuum on something real thin, but I do have with this setup. I mean, I can adjust it. So if you see something starting to flex, you might let it out a little. But I've never tried to calculate what the force is going to be that's going to deflect it a certain amount and crack it. When I have something go implode and crack, then I'll say, I better start doing that.
Years ago at a symposium, there was a guy, the frugal vacuum chuck system.
Yep.
And he took oxygen generator pumps out of oxygen generators and rebuilt them and put the valves in.
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
That's what I have.
Okay. What do those cost you?
I think at the symposium, I mean, the chuck, the pipe for between the gauge and
Yep.
the whole setup, I think it was like a symposium, like $199.
Okay. Yep.
You mentioned the Venturi working with a compressor. How does that work or compare to this?
If you've got a big enough compressor, you can pull a very good vacuum with them. And matter of fact, Laguna, how do you use it? The question is using the Venturi type air where you have air pressure to pull the vacuum. Laguna sells that, they call it a vacuum pump. They sell them. It usually tells you how many cubic feet a minute of air it needs to do that. So you look at your compressor and decide if it's big enough. The big key to me, I was thinking about going that route, and then the problem is I'm thinking, well, I might be using my air-operated sander at the same time while I'm holding something with with a compressor, and now if I'm going, because even those sanders can pull pull that tank pressure down. So then all of a sudden, not only do you not have any pressure for sanding, but your piece goes flying. So, yeah, yeah. So it just, I decided I'd rather have the two halves of that process separated. Anything else? Did we actually use our 20 minutes, or is he giving us extra? I just looked for O-rings on Amazon, and you just start looking, 1/4-inch O-rings, I think, 1/4-inch diameter. You can actually, if you're really good, you can buy the 1/4-inch O-ring stock and glue it together yourself. I've seen people make O-rings that way, and these aren't a real critical application. You know, when he's working in Tyvek, you wouldn't want to do that maybe. Although I'll bet you they do sometimes. Yeah, okay.
We actually do it with a 3/4 inch
Okay.
for making the seals on the doors for the cell.
Ah, okay. All right. So you could. So that might not be a bad way to go. Is just buy some silicone O-ring stock, and I don't remember what kind of glue it is, but it's not. Yeah. Okay.
Steve.
I put some little O-rings together, but
So I when I got my lathe, I also got the vacuum system that Alan Bradford had with it. He had these same kind of chucks, or these same kind of these little PVC pipe adapters, and what he used, and therefore I use, is foam craft paper. It's like a eighth of an inch. Yeah, crazy foam. Yeah,
I think
and
it's similar to the stuff that's actually on this one.
yeah.
Do you guys want to? This is one
rubber
that,
band
that,
around
that
it to
Dan
hold it in
has. You can
place,
take a
but
look
it's
at
the
it.
it's the cushion that's allowing it to draw that seal. I will say I have thrown a piece with it, so I can't promise it's the best solution, but it does seem to hold a vacuum fairly well.
Yeah, what I looked at, a lot of the stuff that he had was starting to get old too.
Yeah, that could. I have had to replace some rubber bands.
All right.